Okay, I wanted to do a follow-up video to my last one, and I wanted to take a day to think about it because I get emotionally charged dealing with this subject, and I know that the message could be perceived easily as hostile in the last video. And make no mistake, I don't intend to be not hostile to the people who deserve it. But there are many people on the right and many people who voted for Republicans and even chiefly Trump who are now regretting their vote. And there are two things I predominantly said to you in that video. I was mostly trying to hone in on the key points of why it was bad, but the takeaway that you might have gone away with was, why should we trust you and how can we work with you? Because you didn't put in the work. You didn't understand what was at risk. I stand by those words, but there's also another thing I said in that video, and that's we may have to work together. There's zero chance I'm ever going to change the mind of Trump cultists. They are what they are. They will never listen to reason. There's no amount of facts, evidence, reason, logic that you can ever give them that's going to change their mind. They are dead set on their beliefs, and it's largely because they come from an upbringing and a system that values dogmatic ideology at the cost of everything else. So I won't try to reach them. Who I do want to reach are the people who are on these social media platforms talking about how they do regret, how they wish they could change things, how they can ever make it up to people. And I'm telling you, you can. And here's how. And I want you to listen closely because I realize a lot of you were born and raised Republicans to your family. A lot of you carry a lot of values of that old Republican message. So much so that many of you, even you older Republicans, who I'm talking to mostly, have switched to the Democratic Party because you feel that your Republican Party has been usurped and taken over. On the best possible days, speaking politically, I'm going to disagree with you on a lot of your stances, but right now the most important thing you can do is circle the wagons with us, rally up, and get the MAGA section of your party removed. Get them out of government because they have lied to you every step of the way. They have betrayed you and your values. And if nothing else resonates with you, I want you to know that the fact that they have gotten into office and have proceeded to absolutely tank the economy with the worst possible moves that even hard right Republican economists have said are terrible moves. If money and your own self-interest is even the only thing that you can relate to, which I hope it's not, I'd like to think better of you than that. But if that is what it takes, then know that they have absolutely proven that they are not the party of fiscal responsibility. They are the party of fascism and smash and grabs. They are going to burn everything to the ground for their own self-benefit. And Trump, at this point, has realized that being the president is only as good for how much money that he can put in his pocket. He is not interested in keeping all that power for the sake of having power. It's simply that he having that power and acting as a puppet for other rich people means that when he gets out of office, he has way more net worth than he ever could have imagined otherwise. That is the end goal, and they're doing it on the taxpayer dollar. They're doing it with the money that is dedicated to people in this country who can't feed themselves because of circumstances beyond their control, for old, horribly worn down people in a system that has basically abused their health for years, who just wanted to retire, for people who are disabled and didn't get a choice or struggled to deal with their health, for things that maybe they would have done differently if they were in a better financial situation, choices they could have made if the system allowed them the opportunity to, rather than pushing them for every little cent along the way. I know that by and large, we're going to disagree on taxes, whether or not they're good or what they should be for. But the thing that we should absolutely be on the same page for is when those tax dollars are taken and given to the government, it is not meant to line the pockets of some failed businessman who only sought this kind of power to keep himself out of jail and boost up his net worth. If that makes you as angry as I sound right now, and I'd like to be a whole lot angrier, then we have one very important thing in common to build from, somewhere to start. All of these MAGA Republicans lied to you. They used their platform, they preyed on your sensibilities using things like your religious beliefs, which I don't subscribe to, but understand that you hold dearly. They manipulated you in your personal beliefs beyond that, your ethics, your morals. They made everything that you believe a mockery of itself. You think they hate Democrats? No, they hate you. But they would rather pander to you because it fills their coffers and benefits them the most. And if it was the other way around, they would be pandering to us. And you know that that's true. It took evidence for me to get to the point where I can have this conversation with you. We had to have the Trump administration sit in office for a little while before I could have this discussion, because I know if I had started this early, nobody would have taken me seriously. You could have brushed me off as somebody who didn't know what he was talking about, way too early to tell, jumping to conclusions, but now we know. A foreign billionaire robber baron is running our government behind the scenes and telling you Americans, veterans, disabled, those who have served in important jobs that upkeep this country, that you're not worth the money. But don't worry, what they saved can go to contracts for the people that they are personally shoving their nose right into the ass of. Oh, it's just a fucking coincidence that after all of this corruption with zero receipts gets found, that Elon gets a big $400 million contract for Tesla to work with our military, that the Verizon contract for unknown billions of dollars, I couldn't even find an accurate number, gets scrapped, but oh, it can go to Starlink. Funny that that's the case, despite the fact that they both were on TV saying if there would ever be a conflict of interest, he'll recuse himself. Trump would never let it happen. That's your money. That tax dollar that you paid, all of it was to benefit this country, to bring people up. And even if you disagree with the plans that Democrats put forward, I'm hoping this message resonates with you, because you certainly didn't give it to some foreign body who has decided that democracy is not for us. Somebody who comes from an apartheid upbringing, who has the nerve to tell us that he can do America better. As far as immigrants are concerned, the hypocrisy on their side is staggering. Because not only is the President of the United States married to an immigrant, but he's buddy-buddy with an unelected buddy, a foreigner who came here illegally for almost a decade plus. And they don't seem to be raising a fuss about that. Town halls all over the country with well-meaning, and I'd like to point this out, Republicans, good people, lashing out against the absolute jello-spined, yellow-streaked fucking losers who laid down their own power that was elected and provided to them to serve their constituents to a guy that nobody cast a single vote for to do fucking anything. I want you to know that we disagree on a lot of things. But the one thing I will never disagree with any American on is that the value of liberty, freedom, and our rights takes precedent over everything. And we can have a discussion when this is all said and done on how you want to handle that. I will meet you with open arms to have that debate with respectable people I disagree with on policy. And it'll be passionate, it'll be heated, but it will also be full of the genuine general respect we owe each other as fellow Americans, that even though we disagree at its core, the reasons we believe these things are to bring up other Americans and to best serve our country. Because right now, alienating every ally we have ever had since World War II, to bend the knee to our most critical enemy we have had since the dawn of nuclear technology, to sit there and kiss the ring of a man who has used nothing but the most totalitarian dictatorial strategies to rule over his country with fake elections and to abuse his power by smashing the media that dare speak out against him, who has the nerve to attack a country who unfortunately did not have the structures in place to have the protection of allies that we, for years in NATO, have been the biggest influence over. To turn our backs on the people who swore to uphold peace with the very goal of preventing this exact kind of evil, and make no mistake, it is evil, rhetoric, actions, policy that is coming out of this administration, the American administration, is disgraceful. I refuse to sit here as an American citizen any longer and stay quiet. It's easy to stay quiet. I am a cis-het white male in America, blonde-haired, blue eyes. If I were 2 inches taller, it'd be impossible to fuck up. But me standing to benefit from this organization is both a joke, but also, even if I sincerely believed and conformed to that culture, the amount of harm and damage that it's causing, I can't sit here and just enjoy that privilege. I can't sit here and tell myself that because it's going to affect me the least, that I can just sit back and let it happen to other people. I can't anymore. I spent my whole life being a coward. I spent my whole life being afraid of the consequences if I ever spoke out. But I come from a poor neighborhood, an area that you would lovingly describe as urban, MAGA, full of schools that were mostly black kids. And I got to watch it firsthand, and even when I was too young to fully understand what I was witnessing, even in these schools that were, again, majority black schools, somehow there managed to be white deference, white preference. And they've preyed on that. That was the key element behind everything MAGA did. And I want you to understand that just because you are a white person, when we talk about things like privilege, it doesn't mean that you are inherently racist. They're not calling you necessarily racist. What they are saying is the racists that run these factions, the people who are truly monstrous and their terribly discriminatory practices, have done so in a way to make us lax to it, to make us whimper and cower of people with no actual power, to make people like us lazy and non-responsive. Because even when we don't like it, even when there are good people out there, they don't speak up, and they don't speak up predominantly because we're afraid of losing status. We're afraid of losing benefits. We're afraid of losing protections. But the reality of it is, right now, between you and me, as most Republicans unfortunately are, your states are in the bottom half of the country for wealth. You are in the bottom half of the country for education. You are in the bottom half of the country for so many benefits. And the reason why is by design. A lot of these Republican people who run for office, I won't even call them politicians, we'll call them people who run for office, do so because it benefits them. If you're poor, stupid, and desperate, you're going to take the first person who says anything to help the situation. But they could have helped the entire time. The money was always there. The resources were always there. And it's super easy to blame Democrats because they're on the other side. They tell you the things that you hear, and the truth that exists in your absolute disparagement at the hands of our government, who has, honestly, yes, mishandled wealth equality in this country. They want you to feel that way, so you put them in office. But now we're finally here. It's all come to a head. Decades of planning on their part to get there. And the first opportunity they had to take a ravenous, riled up crowd to put themselves in office, they pulled up the rug and said, "Suckers, thanks for the money." Your money. The thing of it is, they want us to think we're better than black people, or at least better positioned than black people, because at the very least, even if you're not racist, you'll be afraid of losing your position. But to these people, if push comes to shove and you have to stand against them at all, you're a broke, poor person in America. And you're about as good as all of those ethnicities they despise. At the end of the day, they're going to throw you out like trash too. I appeal to the worst possible conclusions in all of these conversations because I want to show you that even if you don't believe a word that I say about what good the Democrats and the left can offer, you can see for yourself that your party, as it is now, is not representing you. So take the time to flush them out now. One election to vote out all of the terrible senators and representatives that are MAGA. Another election to remove the clown and whoever he picks to replace him, if he picks anybody. It sounds like he's interested in the third term and is willing to break the law to make it happen. Whichever it ends up being, get rid of him. And even if you disagree with the Democrats, the status quo was at least passable, and you can at least weed out all the MAGA Republicans until you get back to whatever Reaganomics or whatever personally attached old school Republican morals that you had before. And then we can have a two-way conversation. But until we work together to remove MAGA, I won't be able to trust those people. If you continue to vote Republican out of fear of losing status, out of fear of betraying some culture that lied to you, that never respected you in the first place, then I can't trust you. So please, for those who are willing to listen, look at all of the horrible things and terrible things he's done. For not just my worldview, but yours as well. And let's work together to remove these people. If it goes well, and we can get back to something that even closely resembles normal, then we can work on repairing this relationship. But right now, we're all being betrayed. We are all being betrayed. You chiefly by the people that you thought represented you. Sorry for the rant, but it needed to be said. I'm hoping that you understand through my anger and my expression that there are other people on this planet who, even despite our differences, want what's best for you too. Want to see you thrive too. But the fact that they've constantly waged this culture war to get you riled up about things that are not only fundamentally flawed at base, but sometimes outright lies, and have now harmed you, I hope that you can see it now. I hope that you can understand the things we've been trying to tell you now. If you want to go back to the old style of Republican after this, fine. But please just help us remove the threat to democracy that is Donald Trump. I'm begging you.